Angel Reese and the Dream lose to the Lynx. Final score 81-96. Angel Reese shot 37.5% from the field. It says Reese continues to struggle offensively in her third year. This was a stinker, okay? She got absolutely cooked by Natasha Howard. There's points and times in these games, and we just got to be real. Even the game where the Dream was down and they came back, and I think they barely lost or something, they were better with her on the bench. I'm being honest, and I'm not saying they are better without her, but there are long stretches in games where they look like a better basketball team.
The irony is hard to miss. Angel Reese was brought in to be a major presence in the paint for the Atlanta Dream. She arrived with significant expectations, a high-profile reputation, and the confidence to publicly declare her team the best in the Women's National Basketball Association. Yet on May 27th, it was Natasha Howard of the Minnesota Lynx who looked like the most impactful post player on the floor. That contrast speaks for itself. While Reese entered the game carrying much of the attention and discussion surrounding Atlanta's rise, Howard delivered the type of performance that directly influenced the outcome. She controlled key moments, produced efficiently, and helped set the tone for a team that appeared more settled and more prepared. The comparison doesn't necessarily require a harsh judgment. It simply highlights what happened on the court that night. When the game was over, one player had strengthened her team's case through performance, while the other was left facing questions that naturally follow a decisive loss.
Bride took a hit, took some time to get off the floor. Courtney Williams, after making 53 threes last season, she knocks down her third.
Williams finished with 25 points and 7 assists, orchestrating the Minnesota Lynx offense with the confidence and control of a veteran who always seemed one step ahead. She consistently found teammates in the right spots, fed Natasha Howard in the post, pushed the pace in transition, and made quick decisions that kept the Atlanta Dream on their heels throughout the game. Her experience showed in every possession. Williams appeared to anticipate defensive rotations before they developed, exploiting gaps and forcing Atlanta to react rather than dictate the action. The Dream struggled to find an answer, and as the second half unfolded, the game continued to tilt further in Minnesota's favor. The numbers alone were impressive: 25 points and 7 assists in a 15-point victory. But the context made the performance even more significant. This came against a team that had recently been proclaimed the best in the Women's National Basketball Association by one of its most prominent players. Performances like that tend to be remembered, not just because of the statistics, but because of the story surrounding them. On a night when expectations and declarations were a major part of the conversation, Williams delivered the kind of game that shifted the focus back to what mattered most: the result on the scoreboard.
Oh my goodness, man. I don't know if y'all watched that game, but I watched it, and Atlanta Dream is terrible. You know, they supposed to be, oh, look at our defense. We got the best defense. We the best team in the league. You got people going to parties, celebrating only after, 6 games, talking about they're the number 1 team and all this and that. Now they're the number 4 team. And I just want to say, Atlanta is very performative, and they are not living up to it. I'm going to be honest. Ryan Howard, outside of 2 games, been playing horrible this season. Tonight, Angel Reese went 3 for 8 with a negative 16 plus minus.
Now, take a moment to consider the timeline, because the sequence of events is almost impossible to ignore. Angel Reese publicly declared that the Atlanta Dream were the best team in the Women's National Basketball Association. Just days later, Atlanta traveled to face the Minnesota Lynx and suffered a 15-point defeat. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the Dream had slipped down the standings and found themselves in 4th place. The contrast between Reese's statement and the result on the court couldn't have been much sharper. What makes the story so compelling is how quickly the narrative shifted. The gap between the claim and the reality didn't develop over weeks or months; it appeared almost immediately. A bold declaration was made, the game was played, and the outcome told a different story. That doesn't mean Atlanta can't be a strong team this season. The Dream have plenty of talent. Ryan Howard can change a game from virtually anywhere on the floor, and Alicia Gray brings experience, leadership, and the ability to take over key stretches of a game. Combined with Reese and the rest of the roster, the foundation is clearly there for Atlanta to compete at a high level. But timing matters in sports. When a confident, best team in the league declaration is followed almost immediately by a decisive loss, it creates a storyline that tends to linger. Whether that narrative is entirely fair or not, it becomes part of the conversation surrounding the team for the rest of the season. From that point forward, every big win will be viewed as evidence supporting the claim, and every disappointing loss will be used to question it. That's the reality of making bold statements in professional sports. The spotlight grows brighter, and every result carries a little more weight.
The Minnesota Lynx put Angel Reese on a poster. Frame it. Frame it. That look on your face when you're getting cooked by a 34-year-old all night long. Ouchie.
The Minnesota Lynx didn't stop celebrating when the final buzzer sounded. After defeating the Atlanta Dream by 15 points, a team whose star, Angel Reese, had recently declared them the best team in the Women's National Basketball Association, the Lynx embraced the moment. Their reaction wasn't necessarily hostile or disrespectful. Instead, it reflected the confidence of a team that understood exactly what it had accomplished and the significance of the conversation surrounding the game. Through social media posts and post-game reactions, they allowed the result to speak for itself while also making sure fans understood the message. In sports, bold statements often come with added scrutiny. When a player publicly declares her team the best in the league, it naturally raises expectations and invites responses from opponents. That's part of the unwritten agreement that comes with confidence and ambition. You make the claim. The competition responds. And whatever happens next becomes part of the story. In this case, the Lynx felt they had earned the right to enjoy the moment. The scoreboard provided their argument, and the victory gave them the opportunity to reinforce it. Whether fans viewed it as playful trolling, competitive banter, or simply a team celebrating a significant win, it added another chapter to a storyline that had already captured attention across the league.